Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It is Chris, Milton, and Ben for Outer Rim Transmission, episode 176. This week, I'm jumping into my review for the first DLC for Star Wars Outlaws. That is Wildcard Plus. We've got some more huge news coming to us from Lucasfilm. We have officially got the announcement for a Visions Volume 3. We got all Japanese studios. I think it's four that we've seen before. So a lot to break down on this week's show. First of all, props to Ben for getting in here because we're lucky he has a voice to be on a podcast. It's kind of an essential thing. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. I've been pretty much sick since last Monday, but I'm getting better and I was able to hop on here tonight and, got to power through, talk some Star Wars and, maybe getting back into the swing of things on a podcast that'll help me recover quicker.
There we go. We're here to get hyped about Star Wars. We're here to get excited and just shoot the poodoo as they do. But how's it going, Milton?
Good, man. Just ready for the holiday break coming up. It's nice to be back on the podcast. Last week you couldn't see my face because my computer legit restarted on me, so it was stupid. But other than that, though, I'm glad to be back. I know we had a lot to talk about, and hopefully, Ben, you're able to recover. Also, congratulations to your Cleveland Browns on pulling out a win this past Thursday night against Pittsburgh.
Whoa!
Yeah, that was so exciting and one of the craziest games I've ever seen because of the snow. It was like a complete blizzard. I had a cousin who was actually at the game, and it was awesome seeing that game. And Shout out to TJ Watt for not showing up for the Steelers and after he talked trash to Myles Garrett, but that's a podcast for another day.
Yeah, and we got the Big Eagles game coming up as soon as we hit the end record button on this podcast. So I know we got some fans in the audience that tune in from time to time that are already saying, "Why are you doing the podcast today?" I'm like, okay, we're gonna be done by 8 o'clock, guys. Don't worry. So, all right, so we're gonna get into it because Bill, you're gonna really enjoy today's topic because I think you're the biggest Visions fan out of us all. So I'm looking forward to getting your input. But before we dive into our big topic there, I'm going to start off with our week in Star Wars. I think this is the second week in a row I'm doing this because I'm excited. I just got done for the first time watching it since I was a kid. I don't even know if I've seen the whole thing as a kid. The Ewoks movie, the second one, Ewoks, Battle for Endor. I watched it this afternoon because for Skeleton Crew, apparently the character Teak is going to be in the show to some capacity. And I had to see what the heck this character was about. So it's about an hour and a half. The story is by George Lucas. The screenplay is not, but this was, sanctioned obviously by George Lucas. This was made in 1985 or 1986. And a lot of things stood out to me. First and foremost, I'm over there on the Tractor Beam podcast every week. We're talking Star Wars comics. And one thing that came up with me and Matthew in one of our conversations was there is an Ewoks comic that is out concurrently as I think 2 issues in at this point. At the end of issue 2, we have Wicket speaking in Basic. I'm like, wait a minute. How the heck is an Ewok speaking in Basic? And guess what? I guess they pulled it from this movie because he's literally speaking English in the movie. I just couldn't believe it. Like he's speaking broken English, and it's just effing hilarious. Like, what the heck is going on here? Like, why is he the only Ewok that is speaking Basic? And it's funny because when the subtitles I had on, and they don't call Basic, they just call it English. I thought that was interesting because I don't know if the newer stuff just says Basic or not when they're talking, whatever. But this movie in general, it is so fantasy driven. It is if you took Star Wars out of it, this could be just like Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal or any of those sorts of movies or even a lot of it reminds me of Willow, which it's ironic because Warwick Davis is the lead character in Willow, all made around the same time. But there's a lot of this character. Okay, let me get at his Teak character. That's where this is all coming around. He is we don't even know his species unless they had it on Wikipedia, but he's like a real goofy kind of Ewok-esque looking character. But get this, Ben. This guy is like a metahuman. He is like the Flash. He is a speedster alien that literally sprints around the screen, and they go off with this goofy like sound effect when he does it. And he does it like repeatedly through the movie, and they have this really goofy looking animation like showing him running around. You guys have to check this out. It's on Disney Plus. You can watch it right now. But yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. Have either of you ever seen this movie? No.
Years ago. I haven't seen it. I mean, I've probably seen it 15 or 20 years ago, but not any time in recent memory.
Yeah, because last week or the week before, me and my girlfriend, we watched The Caravan of Courage, which is actually the first one. You want to watch that one first because that introduces the kids. And the weirdest part about this movie, within the first 5 minutes, they kill off the main character of the first movie without even showing him like physically like dying, because they're like in the middle of this battle. And it's just, this is a TV movie when they just have this little 8-year-old's family like massacred. They barely spend like a second for her to acknowledge it, and like the rest of the movie there's like no callback really to like, oh yeah, your parents and your brother were just slayed by these gruesome looking people. Like it is such a freaking hilarious movie. Like you guys both gotta watch it at some point. It's one of those movies that like you would watch late at night where it's just like, oh, what's on the TV? You flip this stupid thing on.
That's funny. Yeah, I haven't seen that in years. I might have to check that out sometime soon. Just just because of that exact reason. Like the only thing that comes to mind from like when I was younger watching those offshoot Star Wars projects were the animated movies, like the Droids animated movie.
Yeah,
like those type of things. I remember those from when I was a kid, but I haven't watched the Ewok stuff, and I can't even hardly remember it.
Oh man, yeah, we got Chris Forsyth in the chat. I'm gonna shout out to you, man. Have you watched The Battle for Endor? If you haven't, you gotta watch it. There is the first canonical. I don't even know if you can call it canon. I'm assuming this is canon now because there's like a couple things pulled from the comic from this thing, I think. But the first Star Wars character you'll ever see wearing glasses is actually in this movie. And I know people gave the guy's name. Oh my goodness, I forget his name already. He's not a memorable character apparently, but I remember back in the day with Star Wars Rebels, there was that one Imperial officer on the surveying ship, and people were like in this huge discourse online about, oh my goodness, there's a guy with glasses in Star Wars. What's happening? What's happening with this? So. And there's fun moments in here where Ewoks are literally using blasters and like super sharpshooters. Like these guys are just like sniping these aliens that we don't even have a name. They're just like in the subtitles just called Marauders. And apparently a Night Sister. There is a Night Sister in this freaking movie. Now she looks nothing like a Night Sister as we would expect from Dathomir because this movie was made way before that. But this one woman basically is a druid and turns into a raven or a crow and flies around working for the aliens on the planet as like kind of like a surveyor going around like, oh, there's the kids, go get the kids, like whatever, the girl,
Interesting. That's I mean, who knows, maybe George pulled some ideas from that.
So for me, this is definitely a recommended watch, if not for people to just laugh their butts off at. This is that 80s level cheese that you want to see every once in a while. It's like, I want to sit down and watch a cheesy 80s movie. This just happens to be a cheesy 80s movie with like references to Star Wars. So I mean, I feel like they didn't spare any expense with the budget on this thing. Even though it was a TV movie, like there are hundreds of extras in some of these action sequences. Like they go pretty all out. And like even the aliens prosthetics are pretty good. Like these things as a kid, I remember watching these because they'd be randomly on TV and I'd go, wait, what the heck is going on here? Like these things are creepy as hell. Like I think that's probably why I never watched it all the way through. I just couldn't get through it as a kid. Just it's very creepy looking aliens in here. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for me with this week in Star Wars. I don't know if you guys have anything to bring up before we get into our main topics for the evening.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I really have much this week in Star Wars. Like I said, this has been I have one of those random weeks where I didn't watch anything Star Wars. I didn't listen to anything Star Wars, which is very rare. So I guess that is my week in Star Wars, right? Didn't listen to anything, didn't play anything. Actually, I will say my plan for Thanksgiving, because I'm going to be in Delaware with my fiance's family, I am bringing the mini Super Nintendo, which is right here to my right, and it's got 5,000 games on it. I'm going to probably play Super Star Wars or Super Empire with like her brother or her little nephew.
Oh,
Nice.
I didn't even know they make such a device. That sounds awesome.
They do. They do.
I gotta check this out.
Here. I can unplug it. Yeah, I'm gonna unplug it right now. It is right here.
Oh my goodness, that is so
I've
cool.
I've never seen that before ever. What in the world?
Wow.
It's Amazon. Go on Amazon. You'll find it right there on Amazon. It was about $50.
That's it.
What I'm going to be adding to my list.
It's $50. It legit has 5,000 games on it. This is the little pamphlet, like the little thing comes with it. You can see like those are the list of the games. Front and back. I mean, it's cool.
That's awesome.
How does it plug in? Is it HDMI or what's the input?
Yes, HDMI.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I got that a couple months ago, but yeah, I just wanted to play like random Super Nintendo games, and as you guys know, I'm a big fan of that. But seeing that they had all three on there, I'm like, okay, it's time to lock down, like play these again. So I think that's going to be my plan. Wednesday through Sunday is to try to at least play one of the games and beat them in like a 72-hour period.
Oh man, good luck. Those games are difficult as all heck.
Dead, no lie.
Oh yeah.
And I've been taking a trip down very difficult games lately between trying out Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl, which is like a survival shooter game, and to put in the aftermath of the Chernobyl incident, and then playing World of Warcraft Vanilla Classic Server Anniversary 20th Edition, where it's like you're grinding your ass off because it's like back 20 years ago. Like these games 20 plus years ago, effing just man, you had to devote your life to try to beat these games back in the day.
Right. Well, I mean, look, you look at how, I mean, compared to gaming now, you have like the strategy guides. I mean, you have YouTube, you have the internet, but back in 1993, 94, up until about 2005, you didn't really have the internet that can guide you to a game. You actually had to learn how to play or use the Nintendo guidebook that came with it or that you could buy. But yeah, this system's been out for a while. Like they've had these for like 5 or 6 years. You just got to look on Amazon and find them or whatever. But yeah, I love having this. I mean, especially like going on vacation. This is the perfect thing to bring with you whenever you are just want to play some like old school games or something. Like if you're just traveling locally or even far, like you don't have to carry a big suitcase of a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, that's going to be getting added to my list.
The fact that they have like 5,000 games for $50 is just mind blowing.
Oh, it's clutch, dude, clutch. It's amazing. I mean, I've always wanted to get. I mean, I think I had a Sega one at one point. I know my one buddy used to jailbreak them back in the day.
Yeah.
To add more games to them, but yeah, the most recent ones, they've upgraded them significantly. And like I said, the HDMI cord. Only thing I wished was different is that I wish they had a wireless port for like your controllers, because you still have to plug in like the controllers, but it's no big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Yeah, so getting into our show proper this week, every week you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Starrapter. We go live around 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays, and you're also available on any podcast streaming platform, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all those places, just search Outer Rim Transmission. Getting into the releases for this week, we have the second part of the Battle of Jakku beginning, and that is the Battle of Jakku Republic Under Siege issue number 1. We have the triumphant return of Dr. Aphra back into the Star Wars comics post Return of the Jedi, so that's very exciting for comic fans out there. Plus, we have the High Republic Adventures issue 12 chugging along with that great series. And this is another release this week, which is going to just have me segueing into the main topic, at least on the thumbnail. That is, we got a first DLC for Star Wars Outlaws Wildcard. So I'm just going to throw up some B-roll footage of the original B-roll footage from the first game as I'm talking about this. But yeah, this is cool because this is a DLC, the first time for a Star Wars narrative game, I think. We never had anything. Well, actually, we had Battlefront 2 2017, had a month after the game launched, they had something that tied into The Last Jedi. But since then, we haven't ever had DLC for the Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order games. So this is pretty cool because we get a nice, I think I clocked it around between 2 to 3 hours of actual gameplay for this little experience. It's included in the season pass, or it's $15 for it, which I think is actually pretty good based on the content here. I really did enjoy it because it takes you as Kay Vess on another mission. You're basically getting put to the task by an Imperial officer to go ahead and get yourself in on this high stakes Sabacc tournament, which is taking place on this ship. And there's really cool lore that's in this this little DLC, because there's this droid run ship that is like 98% of the time it's in hyperspace, to just keep the safety of its patrons, have all this money, and to keep it very exclusive. So think of it like, I know this is probably the worst kind of analogy or something for this, but think of the Galactic Star Cruiser. That's basically what you're on to a certain degree in this moment, because you're going on there, and it reminds me a lot of like Ocean's 11 or something like James Bond, because yeah, you get into this ship, but you're not really invited technically, so you have to kind of like do reconnaissance on the different people around the ship, like have Nyx, your little companion, like hitting switches, and then you're eavesdropping and you're exposing people and blackmailing people to like get them to give their like pass to get into the tournament. And then when you're actually in the tournament, there's like a whole bunch of fun stuff you could do to like make people look like they're cheating, and then they get like dragged off by these like violent droids, and then it just becomes you, Lando Calrissian, who is one of the contenders on this thing, and then you guys get roped into this high stakes action adventure where the ship is exploding and you're running and you're jumping over these different obstacles to get out to safety. Then you're in your ship, you're blowing other ships out of the sky, then you're landing on a planet. And that's what I mean. Like, this was actually better than what I expected, because it is a planet jumping, spaceship jumping adventure that wasn't just in one area. You go back to another planet you've been on before, but then there's like other areas you haven't seen that are opened up because of the DLC. The voice acting, the performances are great by Humberly Gonzalez. We actually get to see Governor Thornton, who was always mentioned in the actual base campaign of Outlaws, but we never got to actually see like the governor who is like part of this outer rim area of territory that has been, you know, kind of like stomping his boot down on the rebels and stuff like that. So all in all, I really enjoyed it. Not only did we get this big expansion, I keep wanting to call it expansion, it's more of just another adventure. It's a lot longer than a quest that you would normally see in the game, like I said, about 2-3 hours. But on top of this, they did actually release a big update alongside of this that anybody gets access to. It's the 1.4 update, which does a lot for the game. It does a lot for the game. First of all, now the game is available on Steam. So I know there's a lot of people that are not happy with having to get PC games on Epic Game Store. They just rather have their stuff on Steam. I get it. They want to have their catalog all on one platform. So there you go. You can now download on Steam. I think it's like actually $50 now. It's discounted pretty good right now for Black Friday, but I digress. So like the big update itself also improves a lot of things, more so than I can actually remember. So better off like looking up patch notes, because the big things they've done are take the stealth that is mandatory sections out of the game, which really people off, even me, myself included. The first time I played the game, you go to a certain area of the game and you have to just sneak through this pike controlled district. And if you get found, there was no option of, oh, just pull out your blaster and kill the guys. You had to literally start over and over and over again. It took me like 10 times. So a lot of people don't have that patience. So now they completely scrapped that after the feedback, and they said, hey, yeah, you can do whatever the heck you want. There's no more stealth if you don't want to have. So that's good. Weapon handling feels different. Like there's a lot more your rotary blaster is going to feel different than your heavy blaster. That's going to feel different from your sniper. I don't know why that was not there initially, but that was fixed. The enemies themselves, I think the AI has been improved. Certain enemies are going to be tankier based on how they look, so it kind of gives each enemy type its own iconography kind of thing, or archetype, if you will. There's different weak points that they react with on getting. It's basically like the sandbox of the game has been turned on its head, long story short. So like, even if you haven't played Outlaws in a while, it's probably worth booting up just to kind of jump in the game, because there's been so much that has been improved since the base game that I think it's worth taking a look at. So I know neither of you guys have bothered to jump in just yet, but yeah, I mean, now is as good a time ever to jump in. I mean, there's a lot of games out there, unfortunately, that come out, then they take months, or sometimes in the case of Cyberpunk 2077, years to finally get to be where people expected them to be. But as far as Outlaws, I've seen a lot of good chatter about it on the internet in the last couple of days. I've seen people that actually didn't like the game at all when it first came out to pick up the game again. Now they're saying they actually love the game. So if that's the best sentiment you can get, then that's pretty good for a turnaround on a game like this. And I think I even mentioned this maybe last week, maybe I didn't, but apparently Star Wars Outlaws, no, I didn't mention it. Star Wars Outlaws is up for like 3 awards already for the Game Awards. They're up for Best Performance by Humberly Gonzalez. They're up for Best, I think, Innovation and Accessibility. So like nice quality of life things for people, like difficulty and things like just make the game easier for people to play. And then Best Action Adventure. I was actually surprised this game is actually voted for Best Action Adventure. I mean, there's a lot of stiff competition out there for that category, but it is pretty good to kind of see this game get its flowers for a Star Wars game. So again, my thing was, this is not as good as the Jedi series. If you want to really just compare it, even though they're completely 2 separate games, I think this is still a game that Star Wars fans should at least try for sure. I think people will find something to like about this, whether it's the story, whether it's the traversal, going into ships and blowing stuff up, or racing on speeders, or just sneaking around in a big open world. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know if either of you have anything to add to this. If you either of the well, let me put it this way: does all these changes, if I put it correctly, does any of this entice you guys to play this game sooner rather than later?
I mean, I think when it comes to a game like this, adding extra content like this is always a plus, and it's a plus if it's valuable content. Like you. Did you mention, so do you have to have like the season pass basically to get this DLC? Is that what you had said?
Well, for the DLC, it's $15.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I was gonna. Okay. So I was just double checking before I continued. So when it comes to something like that, to me, I don't mind spending $10 or $15 if it's good value. Like there's a lot of games out there that'll want you to, give $10, $20 and you get zero value, and it's like, what did I do this for?
Yeah.
But then, if it's actual good value, then like I don't mind it. Like for example, I have firsthand experience with it in Madden right now. In the mode I play, Madden Ultimate Team, they started introducing premium field passes or premium season passes, $15 for like 50 days. Well, the thing is, I bought it both times it's came out so far now because it's excellent value, and compared to buying any other packs in their store, which are terrible, the value for $15, it's a lot of good value. So like I don't mind spending if it's good value. But the thing is, if it's not good value, then I want it. So like hearing good feedback on something like this from you and other folks, that would entice me to do that for a game like this.
Oh yeah. So there you go. I mean, there's gonna be people that are probably just not gonna pick it up. But I think now with Black Friday, with it being on Steam, with it being like now people have like, okay, I heard about that Star Wars game. Oh yeah, I see it's getting some accolades from Game Awards. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a spike. I mean, I like this character a lot, Kay Vess. I feel like, again, the actress is great. I love her kind of her kind of craziness when it comes to the character and her fun. I would like to see her appear just like Cameron Monaghan. I would like to see Umberly Gonzalez at some point in live action. I feel like her character herself would just like translate perfectly over to the screen, with representing the characters and all. But yeah, another good Star Wars game that you could play among many others this Christmas time. And this brings us to our biggest topic of the evening. This is funny as heck because I was just, on the internet as soon as I woke up the one day, I don't even know what it was. It was like Star Wars Volume 3 announced. When the heck was this announced? Oh, it was announced at midnight. What the heck is going on at midnight for Lucasfilm to release this news? And it turns out there was some kind of, I think, convention or conference that was going on. I'm not sure if it was in Japan or whatever other Asian country, but yeah, sure enough, the rumors were true. I don't even know if there were really rumors. I think people just assumed that we were going to get Volume 3 at some point. And 2025. So I'll throw it over to Milton. What's your reactions to knowing we're going to get more episodes of Visions?
Are we surprised? I mean, it's some of the most successful Star Wars they've done since the Lucasfilm was taken over by Disney. I mean, it's been the most consistent Star Wars when it comes to storytelling, excitement, production, I guess reception when it comes to fans. I don't think anyone that I know of has ever said to me that Star Wars Visions is trash. And I'm talking about true Star Wars fans who really understand the property and understand what this particular this medium's all about, and I have random people that don't really know Star Wars or really into animation, so yes, they probably wouldn't be into it, which makes sense. It's not marketed to them per se, but I've never had a heightened Star Wars fan who's been about the game for 40 plus years of Star Wars being around who said, hey, this is stupid. And so all the reaction that I've seen thus far has been positive, and I'm not surprised that it is. Because literally from episode 1 until, hopefully in 2025 when it's released, it's been nothing but a positive reception. I mean, unless you guys tell me otherwise, I don't think anyone has ever said, oh, Star Wars Vision is a waste of time. They should have never done it. So yeah, I'm not shocked that we got this.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you there. I'm not surprised at all either. The first season was great. Second season was, in my opinion, I think it was good. It wasn't as great as the first season, but it was still good. And then, it was just surprising getting that news so late because I remember, when that got announced, I was up, being as sick as I was, getting cough medicine at the time. And I got a text from my cousin at 12:05 and he was like, dude, did you see Visions is getting another season? And I was like, what? And then I looked on Twitter, seen it was official, and then I closed my phone because I couldn't read because I was too out of it. But no, it's awesome seeing it, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. Just because, it just gives us a more of a spectrum of storytelling. You can tell more. You can just do whatever with it. You don't have to just stick to one canon story or whatever. You can just do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, so right. Let me go ahead and pull up the article on StarWars.com because I want to make sure I got this right. All right, so now with Star Wars Visions Volume 3, the animated anthology returns to where it all began with 9 shorts from 9 different anime studios, including returning contributors Kamikaze Duga, Kinema Citrus Company, Production IG, and Trigger. The next installment will also introduce 5 new anime studios to the world of Star Wars. Anima, in coordination with Kamikaze Zoo. We have David Productions, Polygon Pictures, Production Studio Q, and Wit Studio to further demonstrate the diversity and creativity of Japanese animation. Now, I picked up Wikipedia here to just go over these studios that had already been involved with Star Wars Visions and the episodes they did. And I'm happy because these are the ones that I like the most, if I'm being honest. So Kamikaze Duga was responsible for The Duel, which is the one that kicked it all off. That first episode, dude, Milton, they put out 2 awesome comic books that you should pick up. I don't know if you can find them on eBay or not, but they connect to The Duel. And they also have a novel that connects to The Duel as well.
I know the novel. I think I was going to get that at some point. I don't think I have it yet. Because I was going to get for audio at some point.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so then Trigger, they also did the Twins. That's what I classify.
Twins is fire.
That's the one I call Dragon Ball Z.
Literally, I always catch myself like once every like couple months going back to that episode, whether like it's on YouTube or watching it on Disney Plus. That Twins episode hits every time.
Yeah. And let me see. Okay, so what was I said? Okay, so oh yes. Kinema Citrus. Okay, so Kinema Citrus. Oh, I love this one as well. This is The Village Bride, which is kind of a reference to Princess Mononoke from Miyazaki, which I watched in the last couple months. So, oh man, what a good one. What a good one. Let's see. We got Production IG that did The Ninth Jedi. I think most people would say that's their favorite. That's like the most epic, well-built one that I could see. Trigger also did The Elder, and that one was pretty cool too. That was the Padawan and the Master.
Yeah, that season 1 got some bangers. And who did the was it T1B1, the robot one? He looked like Mega Man. That little robot one. I forget.
Yeah, that's Studio Color. Oh wait, no. Wait. Tatooine Rhapsody. No, I know what one you're talking. Oh, TOB1, Science Saru. That one's Science Saru. So we did Kamikaze Duga. We talked about that. Kinema Citrus, Production IG, and Trigger. Yes, I believe we went through all of them.
Did you say Polygon Pictures as well?
Polygon Pictures. No, I don't.
Oh, sorry.
That's one of the new ones. That's one of the new ones.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say for the folks wondering, Polygon Pictures, they've worked on properties we all know and love. I mean, there was a Transformers series. They worked on. They also worked on Star Wars: The Clone Wars from 2011 to 2013, and then they worked on Star Wars Resistance. Chris.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah, I just typed in Polygon. I typed in Polygon Pictures shows and movies on Google, and it pulled up their biography or whatever, and I'm looking at it right here.
Oh,
so yeah, they continue.
I was gonna say I have one of my friends that is an expert in anime, Small Bento Sakura, and she's in the chat saying those are the best animated studios right there. So for her to say such a thing, you know that this is gonna be great.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know.
Look, you guys already know. The moment they come out, I'm watching. Like,
honestly,
I'm watching. Well, I literally, I've never had a bad episode of Visions that I thought was horrific or that was just trash. Like, there might be some that wasn't to my liking, like, from like, 10 out of 10, but I'm thinking, oh, it was entertaining. And that first season still holds up till this day. I mean, season 2 does too, but season 1 itself, just you start off with the duel, then you transition to Tatooine Rhapsody, and then it goes into the Twins. Like, you got 3 bangers that sets the tone for the entire series. And what's crazy is, too, I didn't realize the voice powers, like the actors that they used for the English version of these. So you have Lucy Liu, who did episode 1, The Duel. Like, she was, I believe, one of the people. You have, I'm looking at the list right now, you got Tamara Morrison was in episode 2 at one point. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was voicing something at one point. Mark Thompson, who's a narrative for a lot of the audiobooks, was voice. Neil Patrick Harris, Allison Brie, Christopher Sean, voice of Goku. You know what I'm saying? Like, You got these heavy hitters in Hollywood doing this show. That tells you that this is some good stuff that they're working on.
Oh heck yeah!
David Harbour. I didn't realize David Harbour was in episode 7.
Yes,
that's crazy. Didn't even know that until now.
it is insane. It is insane. Now I'm wondering about if anybody has any. Probably my friend that I shouted out Small Ben to would know about the Japanese voice actors, but I would imagine if the American voice actors are that good, that they probably got some of the top talent for the sub ones or whatever.
No, you have to. I mean, like, you would think, again, like, just knowing how good the material, like, they're writing these 10-minute shorts for these Hollywood actors who are great in their field to say, hey, if they're willing to, I mean, obviously it's a job, but you have to be somewhat in love with what you're doing, in the sense of, like, okay, this property seems like I'm interested in, this must be good material, so I'm gonna put my voice to it. Like, that tells you something about this series, and I truly feel that Lucasfilm has done a really good job, and you know why they've done a good job? Because they allow these studios to do what they want to do. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Like, they interpret Star Wars in the way they feel within their culture. We talked about this from day one, how these studios have taken their cultures, intertwined it with Star Wars to reach another population within, you know, our world, but also they have enough respect to continue to acknowledge and utilize the foundations of what Star Wars is all about. They never kind of lose track of what it is. They just branch upon it with their own culture, which is a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, that's why I love so much about season 2, especially going around the world, getting studios from Ireland, from India, from Spain, but it all started off in Japan. And I'm just so happy to see it back, especially because of some certain events that are happening in April 2025. I can only imagine that, you know, they'd be ridiculous not to show at least one of these at Celebration Japan. I mean, come on here.
You would think. I mean, that'd be the way. I mean, I don't know when it's coming out, but you would think that'd be the time to launch it, or at least say, hey, we'll show the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
At Celebration, which you'll be privileged to be there to see. So that'd be the way to launch it, and then launch it the following week on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm. Which would be nuts because Andor's coming out the following week. So there's going to be between freaking anime and live action, there's going to be so much stuff coming out for everybody across the world within a couple of days of that convention at the very least. But getting into Ben, would you like to see... Put it this way, as for both of you, I'll throw it to Ben first. Would you like to see continuations of the established studios, or would you rather them do completely new stories?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind to see I wouldn't mind them to continue some of the stories, just because there are some that were left off really well. Like, I think the biggest one that stands out the most, it's the whole one where it's like the plot twist where it's like a cult of Sith or whatever. Like that one, I think that one's your biggest one. Like, you arguably, in my opinion, could make a series off that, because like that opened the door so well to like pretty much start your own little, you know, like universe with the inside visions with those characters. So that's where I would first go. Like, if I was in charge, like, the standalone stories are great and everything, but I would almost take these studios in a collaborative effort and do it just like they do with, like, The Mandalorian, where, like, you know, Dave does episode 1, John does episode 2, Bryce does episode 3, etc. And, like, they should just do that with these studios, but make one cohesive season based off of that story from that episode.
I agree. If there's any that needs to be continued, it's got to be The Ninth Jedi. I mean, I remember just seeing, I remember everything about everybody online was going, oh, we need a whole nother series just dedicated to this storyline, because the world building that they created with everything in that world was just mind blowing, because it was so foreign, but yet it felt so true to Star Wars at its core. Like, the technology was all different. The lightsabers were kind of vaguely similar but different. And just the ideology of the Sith and the Jedi. Like, come on. Like, we were screaming from the rooftops, like, we want more. And, like, this is it. This has got to be it. Come on.
You ain't lying.
But, and even with the duel, I feel like the duel is very, very likely to get a continuation simply because, they've already continued it in two other mediums between comics and between a novel. And that one is also one because it has the novel. There is so much world building, so much lore that was created just for this and the white current as the Force and all these different other ideas, which oddly enough have seeped into other Star Wars canon to a certain degree, because I think there's one faction that is not Jedi that call upon the Force by calling it the white current or something like that. So there's a lot of similarities, but yeah. So whether it be, I'm looking through the list again. With the duel. Not with the duel. With the one with the twins, I could do without a continuation. I want to see what else they do with that.
I want that twins continuation for sure, because it ended up where he's like, I gotta go find my sister. I know I can bring her back or something like that. Yeah, we need to see that.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely going to be doing a rewatch. I might just start watching one a day every morning as I get ready for work or something.
Yeah, I know once we get the official date of when they're going to release it, I'll probably go back and watch each series for leading up to that upcoming week. Again, I just can't say enough good things about Star Wars. Lucasfilm Animation. I can't say enough good things about it. They have some misses here or there, but whether it's Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, the Tales, those Tale stories, and obviously these they're very consistent, and I love that. I wish we got it in live action. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
Yeah, I really do think that Visions is so important to the brand of Star Wars, because it seems like sometimes Star Wars can be kind of safe. Not gonna lie.
Yep.
Right. And there was an article that came out, something about nostalgia. Yeah, we love nostalgia, and sometimes I feel like Star Wars taps into the nostalgia too much. But when it comes to Visions, they went overboard. They're like, hey, you Japanese anime studios, here's the keys to the kingdom. Come up with whatever crazy stuff that comes up, as long as it's Star Wars at heart, and we'll let you do it. And that's the first time ever that Star Wars, people that aren't even involved with Star Wars have been able to do that. Otherwise than that, it's just fan fiction. But these guys, this is officially sanctioned by Lucasfilm.
But here's a smart move by that, is because look, everyone, literally the American people and our culture, we love anime. Literally, we love anime. We love those. People always talk. What are the most popular anime series right now? I'm always hearing about. I can't list. I always hear about them, but people talk about anime all the time. Grown men who are in their 30s and 40s. Star Wars did the best move by connecting with those studios to tell their stories and to expand their property. Because if we see something that we like and that we're already into, and we're like, oh, that's a new way of looking at it, we're going to embrace it. You know what I'm saying? If you got the studio who did Dragon Ball Z doing Star Wars right now, I'd watch it because I know that studio. Oh, yeah. I'd be familiar with them, and I'd be like, oh, bet they did something in my childhood that I love. What can they take with this property that I love and expand upon it with their way of storytelling? That'd be dope. It's a smart move that Lucasfilm connected with these studios.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it'd be awesome to see, studios like that, the folks working on Dragon Ball. It would be cool to get an established big kind of studio like that working on, a whole season of this show. For me, another episode to give a shout to is from the second season. It's the one where they're going into the haunted cave with the ghosts and all that stuff. You could do a whole kind of spooky couple part episode, with that whole thing. There's so many things they could do with Visions, and it's just it's an unlimited amount of storytelling, with the storytelling itself, but also with the diversity of the studios. You can get big properties like the Dragon Ball people, or even I always say it, but like, Star Wars needs to get Gendy Tartakovsky back
Oh
in the
yeah.
fold. Like
Yeah.
he was doing like a Samurai Jack reboot or whatever a couple years ago. I remember, like, he's still working. So like, get someone like him back in the game, because we've seen him be successful with the brand. Like, there's so many people, that work on this. Like, I think that would have a really good take on it. And like, heck, I would even like to see, just from his background with like working on Avatar and that anime and stuff, like, I would like to see like what would Dave Filoni's take be on like this animation style? Like, someone we know, I'd be interested to see. So like, there's so many potential people to work on shows like this. Like, that's why I like something like Vision so much, because it's just like, it's such a bigger sandbox to play within. Like, if you hire someone to come on to Andor or to Skeleton Crew or to Mando or whatever, you pretty much have to stick within the guardrails of whatever it is. But like with Visions, you can like, you could open up a possibility for like a Dave Filoni or whoever to like just go crazy and just make whatever crazy Star Wars story they want to tell. Like, there's so many opportunities with it.
Yeah.
One of my
Go ahead.
favorite anime series of all time. It used to be on Cartoon Network or Toonami back in the day. Was Ronin Warriors? Remember that show, Ronin Warriors?
Yep.
When they had the armor. Chris, have you seen that before?
Nope.
All right, I think it's currently on Hulu. I think
Okay.
it's Hulu or something. You should check it out. But whoever's in the chat, if you know about Ronin Warriors, go look it up. It's fire. I would love that studio, and I think that's Bandai that did that series or that company. I would love to get them to like get on Star Wars, because like the way they did Ronin Warriors and how dark they made that, and they told a dope story. It was like 4 seasons, bro. I'd be about that life, Chris. I mean, just type it in now. Look at the style of it. You'd be like, Star Wars can fit with that style, because Ronin Warriors was fire. Like remember, like it was like the armor of Wildfire or something. Wasn't that like that, Ben? Yeah, I forget the different armors. Like, they were dope though.
Oh yeah, that show was fire back in the day. And like, that's the cool thing too with like anime nowadays. Like, back in the day when we all watched it, it was kind of like side-eyed at. But nowadays, like, anime's like really cool and stuff. I mean, heck, Milton, you know it. I'm sure with us being so much into the gym, half our Instagram suggestions are all like Dragon Ball related memes and stuff.
Bro.
And
dude,
like,
half the guys in the gym is wearing anime stuff.
Yeah.
Because all of us grew up watching that. All of us grew up thinking, bro, if I was in the gym, I could look like Goku, I can look like Piccolo, I can look like Trunks and Vegeta. Like that's our stupid, immature child brain in us, which is our child. Like, it's funny. You know what I'm saying? But that's why we love anime, because it just brings a joy in us, and low-key it motivates people like to do well when it comes to certain things in their life. But to sit there and look at how the animation was back in the 80s and 90s and how it still lives on today, this tells you right now, there's still a place for it in our culture in 2024, 2025 moving forward. All you got to do is tell a good story. You tell a good story, you're locked in. I don't care what medium you use, whether it's radio, TV, movies, music, TV screen, animation, whatever. And I think with Star Wars dipping their toes in this type of medium of storytelling is beautiful for the property itself. It helps it be more preserved. It helps connect with a bigger audience instead of just people who watch it on a silver screen or just on streaming networks.
Oh yeah. I think I told a story before, but I'm going to reiterate it anyway because we're talking about anime in the first place. So I've never been a fan of anime. Going back to, I guess, my early years as elementary school, Pokemon is cool because I'm playing the video games. Let me watch the TV show. Or same thing. Yu-Gi-Oh is cool because I'm playing the cards. Oh, there's a TV show. Let me check that out. But after that, it ended. I never had any inclination to watch Dragon Ball Z or Full Metal Alchemist or Inuyasha or any of these other things that kids in middle school would be talking about. I just didn't care for. So that's the thing about Star Wars is it does open doors for other mediums, other entire things, because if it wasn't for Visions, I wouldn't have bothered to try to go to Japan as much as I bothered going into, because I was like, okay, the Japanese, yeah, it's cool, but it's not for me. But because Visions, I watched these episodes over and over again, and I was like, God, it clicks for me. It clicks for me. Like all these are the best of the best of anime, and they are like the gateway that brought me into watching like things like Akira and the Miyazaki films and all these other entities. What's up?
Did you watch the last Airbender?
I haven't watched it yet, but technically, I know the snobs, the anime snobs will tell you that is not anime because isn't that developed like somewhere else?
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, come on, bro.
It's perfection.
It's fire. You know what I'm saying? And I know Yu-Gi-Oh isn't your thing or whatever. Like, but even Yu-Gi-Oh, I never was a person who played the cards, whether it's Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah. But that show though, like that animation is fire. Star Wars needs to connect with them because Yu-Gi-Oh was the shit back in the day when the way it looked, and I was like, dope. Like especially how they animated like Exodia and like the big like, bro, I'd be hyped. Let's go, son. Like let's go.
So there you go. It's like the cross-pollination effect, and Star Wars was able to get me. And I'm sure a lot of other Star Wars fans that were like me, that are like, yeah, I just like Star Wars animation stuff. Like, give me Clone Wars, give me Rebels. And it's like, oh, this is a whole nother thing that I didn't really think about. But now I appreciate watching things like The Duel and watching things like The Ninth Jedi, the storytelling, just the way that the culture of the Japanese culture is reflected into that. Now I'm watching, Godzilla and other things that aren't even really anime because it's like the Japanese culture is now permeated through the anime, and now I'm looking to all these other things that are adjacent to anime, part of the Japanese culture. So that's because of the power of Star Wars and having that pool to be able to be like, oh, here's this other stuff that has Star Wars in it. But it's more than Star Wars. There's other things you could take out of it besides Star Wars, and then it's that cross-pollination effect. So, yeah, good on Lucasfilm for taking a swing and wrangling together these creatives to be able to do something as cool as this, and for it to keep continuing on and on. Because honestly, we all know this can go on forever. Like they can, every 2 years we can get another volume. We could be up at like volume 12 of Visions, and we'll be just as excited because we know we're getting some kick-ass stories.
Facts. And so Ben made a point earlier, okay, and I'm sure we're getting to wrap up soon. But Chris, I know you said you're not an animation guy like that, but did you like the original Clone Wars?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And would you love to see a series like that expanded upon?
Yeah.
Like with the animation style.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So if you like that, I think you would like Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah.
Tarkovsky did that too.
I watched some of that as a kid. I do remember. I wasn't much as a Cartoon Network guy. I was more of a Nickelodeon guy.
Yeah. So he did Samurai Jack. Yep. So imagine like I low key think you like anime. You just don't know what you really really like yet. If you know what I mean. But I'm just saying, like, if you get his style of storytelling and rhythms and beats and look, I think you would really be embraced if Star Wars did like a full like say 4-season, Star Wars animation like him. I think you would really get a lot out of it because Samurai Jack, they was like 5 seasons. The way he wrote it was masterpiece.
Well, I think the reason why that style of animation connected so well with like our generation of people that watch Samurai Jack or Clone Wars or things, all those projects like he was specifically involved in was, I mean, his like anime style, Tartakovsky's anime style, it's like kind of like a Lucas-esque style storytelling. He's a very visual storyteller. So like, you could watch his shows with the thing totally muted and still get it. Like I think that's why his shows connected so much with me. Because it just kind of reflected Star Wars so much, like in terms of just being like really good at visual storytelling and you still understanding it.
Well, because even in Samurai Jack, the main character barely spoke.
Yeah, I'd say he barely spoke.
and he spoke through his visuals. Like, to sit there and make an animation speak through you with like his eyes. Like they use a lot of shots with Samurai Jack's eyes and how he would react to stuff. And I know the main villain was like the main villain. He spoke a lot, and that worked. You needed him to kind of tell the perspective of what we were looking at, but the way they shot that at that time was beyond its time. And I think even you see that in the original Clone Wars and how they utilize. Look at that Anakin and Ventress fight. A lot of that's not much talking. It's just lighting, it's visual, it's the way they look at each other. That's the storytelling piece of it. And that's where I think animation does a really good job at pulling people in. That's why we all gravitated towards that particular property, because it pulled us in with not the words itself. It's just how they pulled us in with the feelings and the emotions these characters had, which was dope. I'm like, all right, like that's storytelling right there.
Hell yeah. Do you guys have any last words on anime? I know we have the chat, which is chiming in, agreeing with Milton. Milton hit it, amazing, agreed. Like, everybody's in the chat. We have a lot of anime fans in the chat right now. Some of the best engagement we've had in weeks on this podcast. So apparently you guys are
right there. That tells you something right there. Anime is still a thing for us fans, like, for real. And as you're saying with the chat popping off, there's still a want for it. And it's all about storytelling. It's all about making it connect with you. We're all in our 30s, and we still talk about these things like we're 10 years old again, watching this, like sitting in front of our TV after school, being engaged, and we can talk about this for hours because they told great stories that truly connect with us. And I think that's what Visions do. And continue to do as they connect with not only Star Wars fans, but people in general. So, I mean, I love it, man. Give me this all day.
I'm still waiting for the next announcement of the official Lucasfilm Star Wars animated series of Bad Batch. But at least we have anime in the pipe, ready to go, 2025. Looking forward to it. So where can the people find you, Milton? Because I know after this conversation, there's people that want to hear your thoughts on more anime and everything else.
I mean, you can find me on X or Twitter at MiltonWeber7 or Instagram at Milton7Weber. I mean, y'all can always hit me up. I'm willing to talk about this, except for tonight because the Birds are playing. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go. But hit me up on the social medias, Facebook. I'm on there, here, there, but hit me up, man. We can talk about this all day. I love animation. Always been a fan of it. I don't think it's just for kids. You know, I think it's very much for adults. Just got to tell a good story, get us locked in. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all about it. But yeah, I wish I was going to Star Wars Celebration, bro, because that'd be kind of fire if they would introduce it at Japan, and then to sit there and see how the people respond to it, and it'd be so cool to see. Like, to have that interaction with someone who's from Japan and say, hey, what does this mean to you? How does this connect you to Star Wars? What am I missing that's so much of your culture that's in this that I just don't see it like you would?
Yeah.
Like, you should ask that question. You should interview somebody at Celebration about that.
That is not a bad idea. Actually, I did that in England. I pulled out the mic and went the grassroots section of just getting random passerbys. Says, hey, what'd you think of the panel? What'd you think of the panel? Barring any language barriers, because I might have to use Google Translate, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if you get wind of them showing like an episode or two, like that'd be a perfect way to sit there and bring a culture in like that, especially like and onto your channel to say, hey, this person is from Japan. They watched this show from a Japanese studio. This is what their interpretation was. Because again, I'm sure it's completely different than what I would see it and what you guys would see it. Us being, American citizens here, like we would just see it differently. But the way they would say, "Oh no, that's actually a reference to this part of our culture or this part of our history," that'd be fire.
Hell yeah, I love that thought. I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind. Ben, where can people follow you online?
Yeah, you can find me on X and Instagram at Real Ben Maynard. I'm always talking Star Wars, fitness, football, of course, all of these sorts of things like anime and everything else in between. And Yeah, you can always find me there. And then also a big shout out to everybody in the chat tonight. Like, it's always fun engaging and having a great conversation about these fun Star Wars topics. And it makes it more fun when we're all talking about it.
Hell yeah. And next week, we're going to be breaking down our Skeleton Crew preview. I know there's a lot of voids in the news we didn't talk about this week, just because we're holding it all for our big extravaganza to preview Skeleton Crew next week. Milton, I know we're going to be missing you, but hey, enjoy the time with your family and all the well-deserved rest and relaxation you hopefully get over the next few days. The best part is, 2 weeks' time, we'll all be back here talking about a brand new Star Wars. Brand new Star Wars, right. 2 episodes.
Yeah. Nah, for real, I appreciate that. Like I said, this is the Thanksgiving week coming up. So for those out there who celebrating Thanksgiving with your family, have a good time, be safe, be smart out there. If you're traveling, be safe because there's some weirdos out there on the road. But enjoy your Thanksgiving. This is the time of year to get together and to appreciate one another. And hopefully you can talk some good Star Wars while you're enjoying some turkey. Because I'll probably try to weasel some pop culture nerd stuff into some conversation here or there. So I look forward to it. So
that's what it's all about. Breaking down barriers, making each other feel comfortable. I did the same thing yesterday with my girlfriend's brother, talking about Venom because the nephew had a 5-year-old birthday party and he went all out on Venom stuff. So that was a lot of fun because he got all these toys. I literally told the kid, I said, dude, you're giving me a run for my money with Star Wars. Like, you got like 5 different Spider-Man and Venoms and all in a single day. Wow. But you can follow us here next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. I hope you guys can all come back and make it. And hey, we're always available on all audio forms. Search that. This week I'll be on the Tractor Beam, as always, over on the Star Wars Underworld on Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern with Matthew talking the latest in Star Wars comics. But until next time, for Ben, for Milton, for Chris, aka Starrapter, that's going to do it for us here at Outer Rim Transmission. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate, and may the Force be with you always in transmission.